Hey, it's Kenny Winston here, back with the second episode of Kenya Knows. This episode, we are going to do some NFL Playoff Round 2 predictions, as well as the college football national championship predictions, because I'm super excited for that. There's going to be some incredible matchups this weekend and on Monday, so yeah, let's get into it. So, for the college football national championship, I think it's pretty obvious that everybody, except for Miami fans, has Indiana winning this game. Indiana has just been the better team throughout the entire playoffs, but I really want to touch on what the storylines are for both teams and even for both quarterbacks. Fernando Mendoza, for my ladies who love football, if you don't know, Fernando Mendoza actually grew up like a mile away from Hard Rock Stadium, and he actually wanted to go play at Miami, but unfortunately, he was a two-star quarterback. He was a two-star recruit because COVID hit, so he didn't really get a lot of playing time in high school. He ended up at Cal, had a pretty decent 2 or 3 seasons there, transferred to Indiana, and now he is leading an undefeated Indiana team into Hard Rock Stadium. That's really impressive. I mean, I am just still impressed by this entire Indiana team. Kurt Zignetti, what he's done for this Indiana program. I mean, this just doesn't happen. I don't understand how we got to a point in college football where Indiana is the team that nobody wants to play on the field. Because I wouldn't want to play them if I'm Miami. And Miami, even though I think they have an edge in terms of size in the trenches, I just think this Indiana team, they don't make mistakes, and I think Miami will. But back to another storyline that I find quite interesting, and that is with Carson Beck. Carson Beck was played at Georgia, I want to say, for 4 seasons. I think he was the backup for 2 to 3 of those seasons, and he won 2 national championships with them, but that was as a backup. This is his first national championship game where he is the starter. And you can argue that he has had a pretty impressive playoff run. He hasn't been stellar, but he made the plays that needed to be made to win his team the game. He was solid against Ohio State. He was solid against Ole Miss. But this game specifically, he's going to have to do more than be solid, and I'm not sure that he can do that. But I think it's very impressive. I think it says a lot about a guy who has gone through a lot of adversity, basically being pushed out of Georgia, in my opinion, because I just don't think the fan base or the team really wanted him there. So he went to Miami to prove himself, but he is still turnover prone, in my opinion. The game against Louisville and SMU, I mean, he had 5 picks in the Louisville game alone, and I just think he is too mistake prone, if you want to call him that, and that he's almost like a Sam Darnold, right? He has a great arm, but he folds under pressure sometimes, and he makes boneheaded mistakes. I do think he may end up throwing a pick in this game to lose him the game, or Indiana is just so damn good that they're going to play so perfect that it's just going to be hard for Miami to be able to sustain that same level of play, especially on offense. Indiana is just too well coached, so I have Indiana beating Miami 35-24. Now, I want to move into the NFL talk. I want to talk about the Bills versus the Broncos. Right now in this game, you want to trust who the better quarterback is, and that is Josh Allen. Josh Allen was surgical against the Jaguars. Now, I made the mistake of picking the Jaguars to win that game only because I picked the better overall team. Sometimes you forget who the better quarterback is because you want to go with the better overall team. And that's the mistake that I made. I went with the Jaguars. They had the better defense. I think they had the better offense going into that game too. But the Bills just had the better quarterback. And Josh Allen made all the plays in that game. He made all the throws. Unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence did not. So in this game against the Broncos, I just think Josh Allen, he is the better quarterback on the field at the end of the day. He is going to make the right throws at the right time to win his team the game. It is going to be a carry job because I don't think James Cook is going to have a good game against this Broncos defensive line. He didn't have a good game against the Jaguars defensive line. But I still think Riley Moss is a liability in that secondary. And I think if Shakir's on him, I just think that is where you want to throw the ball. That's who you want to attack downfield if you are Josh Allen. But it is going to be an interesting game because I still think this Broncos defense is really, really good. I just think Josh Allen is so good, and this Broncos defense is not very good against elite quarterbacks. And I also do not trust Bo Nix in the playoffs yet. I think he will get there eventually, but he's sometimes too robotic in the pocket sometimes. Sometimes he overthrows too many deep passes. He's just too up and down for me to trust him yet. The 49ers will be playing the Seahawks at the Seahawks. And I feel the same way about this game that I do the Bills versus Broncos game. Obviously, the Seahawks have the better defense. I think this defense, as good as they are, I actually think they're very underrated because everybody brings up the Broncos defense, they bring up the Texans defense, they bring up the Browns defense, but I still feel like this Seahawks defense does not get the respect that they've earned. Stellar defense all around. I think Sam Darnold, again, I don't trust him. I don't trust him in the playoffs. I think he folds under pressure. I also think the run game has been very inconsistent because his offensive line has been inconsistent. I could argue that this game can go exactly the way the 49ers and Eagles game went. I think the 49ers defensive line can get to Sam Darnold in this game because they were getting to him in the last matchup that they had. Remember, that game was really, really close. It was closer than it should have been. You could argue that the Seahawks should have blown out the 49ers, but Trent Williams, the left tackle for the 49ers, he didn't play in that game. And I know he doesn't fix the entire offensive line for the 49ers, but he does enough to give Brock Purdy some more time in the pocket. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I trust Brock Purdy a lot more in the playoffs than I do Sam Darnold at this point. Brock Purdy is what, like 5-2 or 5-1, something along the lines of that in the playoffs, and he's really good in the playoffs. So I trust Brock. I think he will make the right throws in this game to at least get his team a win. I also think Kyle Shanahan will find a way to get Christian McCaffrey involved more in the passing game than in the running game. And I think Juwan Jennings will also have a pretty decent game as well. So I'm going to pick the 49ers to beat the Seahawks. I'm going to say 17-10. I think it'll be a low scoring game. All right, the next game was the Texans and the Texans at the Patriots, excuse me. The Texans have one of the worst offenses I think I've seen in a long time. They are on par with the Eagles' offense. They're just terrible. It's a bad offense. CJ Stroud and Jalen Hurts are damn near on the same tier at this point. And I would like to say something. When you look back at the round one playoff games, CJ Stroud's play and Justin Herbert's, and you want to know who was worse, it was by far CJ Stroud. Because his offensive line, as bad as it has been in last year and this past season in the regular season, they were not the problem in this game. CJ was just making boneheaded mistakes, fumbling the ball, turning over the ball, missing throws down the field. Yeah, Christian Kirk had a really good game, but CJ did absolutely nothing in this game at all. Whereas with Justin Herbert, his offensive line was terrible, especially considering he was playing with his like third stringers, and his offensive line really honestly just they didn't seem to care that much because they were getting beat off the line so many damn times. Yeah, Justin Herbert missed Lyle McConkey on what could have been two easy touchdown passes, but at least Justin Herbert tried to make a play with his legs. He ran for a few first downs here and there, but he wasn't turning over the ball in the way that CJ Stroud was. So but at the end of the day, CJ Stroud and Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, they may all be on the exact same tier. They're all just mid-tier quarterbacks. Who just don't know how to uplift terrible situations in the playoffs. CJ Stroud is going to make a mistake in this game, I feel like. I just don't think he's going to be able to sustain offensive drives to help out his elite defense. This defense for the Texans is so damn good. I just don't think it's sustainable to have them play on the field for 30 whole minutes because their offense cannot sustain drives. So I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this game. I'm going to pick the upset here because I think Drake May, the stellar season that he's had, he has uplifted his situation. He did it in the game against the Chargers, even though it wasn't the best game from him. But he will make a throw to win his team the game. He will at least get his team in field goal range to win with a field goal. So I'm going to say the Patriots beat the Texans 20-17. The Rams will be at the Bears. It'll be at Soldier Field. It is going to be like less than 20 degrees, it's going to be like -0 or something crazy, something really, really crazy. And it's really funny because Matthew Stafford is like 1-8 in weather conditions that are that cold. But I just feel like the Bears have the edge here because they're at home. Soldier Field's going to be loud and proud with the fans. They're used to playing in weather like that. This is just not a good game weather-wise for the Rams at all. Matthew Stafford has not played his best football in this past month. I don't think Devontae Adams is fully healthy. I think Puka Nacua saved Matthew Stafford multiple times in that game against the Panthers. I think Puka can have a really good game. I can see him at least getting 100 yards receiving, but that is a very difficult thing to say considering what the weather is going to be like. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like 20 miles per hour winds too. So I see a lot of missed field goals. I see a lot of missed extra points. I see some floaters happening in terms of the passing game for both quarterbacks. But I do think the running game for the Chicago Bears is what's going to separate them from the Rams, because I don't think the Rams have the best running game. Blake Corum is still trying to figure things out. Kyron Williams is mid. I do think Caleb Williams will make a really good pass, a game-winning pass maybe, to get his team a win in this game. I also think Ben Johnson may end up out coaching Sean McVay because I think Sean McVay has coached a little safe this past month against the Falcons, against the Panthers twice. I mean, they should have blown out the Panthers. It should have been an easy win, but they underestimated their opponent. They underestimated the same Panthers team twice, and I can see them doing that against this Bears team that has a lot of momentum going into this game. What the Bears team did to the Packers in the fourth quarter, now granted it was a bigger choke job by the Packers because the entire Packers team on both sides of the ball did not play well in that second half, but when you see something like that occur, if you're the opposing offense, like what the Bears did in the second half against the Packers defense, you need to take advantage. So I think the Bears will take advantage of what is the liability on that Rams team, and that is the Rams secondary. The Rams secondary had a good 6-week stretch, and then they just fell off in the back half of the season. So I have the Bears pulling an upset here. I think the Bears beat the Rams 27-24. Now that is the end of this episode. Ladies who love football, I want to hear your thoughts about this weekend's matchups, the 49ers against the Seahawks, the Rams against the Bears, any of the games that are happening this weekend. And also, I want to hear your thoughts about the national championship. Who do you think is going to pull out a win there? So please, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, and like, subscribe, and share this video with your girlfriends. Also, follow me on all of my social medias at KenyaKnows_. I'm on Threads, Instagram, and TikTok. Bye!